Welcome to the Focus 3 podcast with Tim and Brian Kight, and this is podcast number 29. I'm going solo today. Brian is coming back from Orlando, and in fact, we'll be flying here to Columbus, celebrating his birthday weekend. And I'm excited to be with you today for about 20, 25 minutes on an incredibly important topic, and that's the topic of mindset. Attitude, mood, mindset, mental state, whatever you want to call it, it matters big time. In fact, your mindset is the number one thing that determines what you do and how well you do it. And that's because everything starts in the mind. All of our decisions, all of our behavior, all of our actions are internal and mental first, and external and behavioral second. If you want to get external behavior right, you have to get the mindset right. Let's get to work. So the mindset that we bring to life every day, a mindset we bring to work, that we bring to interacting with our family, that we bring to towards our friends, how we drive our cars, what we do at school, whether we're a teacher or a student, our mindset matters. Mindset is obviously critical in competitive athletics. The right mindset enhances the ability of any athlete or coach to lead and train and compete at the highest possible level. The wrong mindset, on the other hand, will derail even highly talented athletes from performing at their best. It'll derail even a highly experienced coach from leading and coaching at his or her best. Mindset's critical in schools. The mindset of teachers affects how they teach. The mindset of students affects how they learn. When you have a great school full of teachers and students with positive, productive growth mindsets, boy, that's a phenomenal learning environment where people are challenging each other, addressing obstacles, learning difficult things, getting better every day. But in a less effective school where teachers and or students have mindsets that are not positive, not productive, back away from those learning opportunities, they don't necessarily connect and get along like they should, and that's a less than effective environment. Obviously, mindset is critical in the workplace. When we've all been in a work environment where attitudes were negative, we've been in a work environment where attitudes were positive, and we all prefer to work in an organization, in a workplace where people are upbeat and optimistic and positive and productive. Mindset affects everything that we do. It affects how we pursue our goals. It affects how we overcome obstacles and adversity. It affects how we respond to change. It affects how we listen to other people and interact and have communication and connection with people. It affects how we interact with people who are different from us. So let me dip into something here that there really isn't much of a secret about in terms of what it is, but the how it works is something that is elusive for people. Here's what we know about the most effective, highly competitive, the winning mindset. It has three characteristics. It's calm, it is clear, and it's confident. There's been a lot of research done on this, but when people are in a mental state of calmness, in a mental state of clarity, in a mental state of confidence, they perform at their best. And this has been proven with Olympic athletes. This has been proven with artists who perform on stage. This has been proven, particularly in the realm of extreme sports. So how do we get into a mental state? How do we get into a mindset of calmness, meaning we're not anxious, we're not fearful, we're not afraid, we're not worried, we're calm, and into a mindset of clarity where we are incredibly focused and fully given our attention to what's going on, into a mindset of confidence. Literally, we believe in ourselves. We believe in what we're doing. We believe in our training. We believe in our ability to act and respond to whatever's happening. How do we get ourselves into that kind of a mental state? Well, here's what's interesting. This is what is so fascinating to me about the power of mindset. Mindset is a choice. Mindset is not something that just happens to us. Rather, mindset is something that we all choose based on a single choice, and that is the choice of what we focus on, the choice of what we give our attention to. We have the ability to develop and build a productive, highly positive mindset that's calm, clear, and confident, as opposed to a mediocre mindset. We've got the ability to choose to focus on the right things in order to put us into the right mindset. So I want to give you 5 areas today to focus on, to put yourself into, to own your mindset, put yourself into a positive and productive mindset. Number 1, focus on what you can control, not on what you cannot control. Now, you've heard it. Control the controllables. People waste an incredible amount of time focusing on, complaining about, worrying about, giving their attention to things that they don't control. But what we know from the research, what we know from the studies is that when we focus on only those things within our sphere of influence, when we only give our attention to those things that we control, we get stronger. It's about clarity, folks, not control. Understand what's going on, look around you, understand the circumstances, and gain clarity about what is happening, what you want to produce, and then what you can do. Seeing and understanding the situation is the road to a positive, productive mindset. Let me say it again. Seeing and understanding the situations that you're in is the pathway to a productive mindset. Folks, reality is not hard to see. It's hard to accept. I mean, look at some things in your life and say, do I have any influence, any impact, any control over those things? Does it matter? Can I have an impact on it? If it matters and you can impact it, then take action. If it doesn't matter or you don't have any ability to impact it, don't give it your attention. So number 1, focus on what you can control, not on things that you can't. Number 2, focus on solutions, not problems. This follows from the first focus. And again, it is really interesting, disheartening even, to watch how many people give their attention to problems and they don't try to solve them, they just complain about them. Those of you who've listened to our podcast, you're pretty familiar with BCD, blame, complain, defend. Well, we have a very strong no BCD policy. Life is about solving problems, not complaining about them. And problems exist. I get that. They're very real. And some of them are very painful. I understand that. Intractable even. But the point is this: you should give your attention to understanding and solving those problems, not complaining about them. It's amazing how many people waste their time admiring the problem. Give your attention to the solution. The opposite of BCD, the opposite of blame, complain, defend, isn't silence, it's solutions. And if you can't solve the problem, go back to C number 1. And that is, it's something you can't control, something you don't have an opportunity to influence and impact. Therefore, since you have limited attention, give the attention that you do have, give it your attention to a problem that you can solve. Now, again, quickly, are there some problems that are so big they take a long time to solve? The answer, of course, is yes. And therefore, if it's a big problem that takes a long time to solve, you cannot waste time complaining. You cannot waste time BCDing about that problem. Focus on solving, not on complaining. Number 3, and this, again, follows from the first 2. Focus on what needs to be done, not on how you feel. This is a very seductive thing about the mind. Our mind wants us to pay attention to our emotions rather than our actions. Our mind wants us to pay attention to how it feels rather than what needs to be done. But folks, how you feel is not a good reference point for what you should do. It's about action versus emotion. I mean, I'm holding my hands up right now. My right hand is symbolizing how I feel. My left hand is symbolizing what I need to do. And I can operate my life by one of 2 mindsets. I can operate by how I feel, or I can operate by what needs to be done. Which one of those 2 mindsets do you think wins in the marketplace? Which one of those 2 mindset wins in the classroom? Which one of those 2 mindset wins on the athletic field or the pool or the court or the track? It's the one that chooses to take the necessary action. So emotion is a servant that unfortunately desires to be a master. And so what I'm asking you to do is this: build a skill to make your emotions serve you. Manage your emotions so that they do not manage you. Manage your emotions so they don't manage you. Make your emotions serve you. Now, real quick, here is a quick little tip on how to do it. There's three things that disruptive emotions do not want. They don't want precision, they don't want patience, they don't want perspective. Again, disruptive emotions, emotions that would take you off track, that would take you off path, emotions that would derail you, that would make you less than effective. They don't want precision, they don't want patience, they do not want perspective. You have to supply those three things. You've got to supply the precision, you got to supply the perspective, and you got to supply the patience. Real quick, precision is accuracy. It's detail. It's clarity about what's really going on. It's, do you see the reality? We talked about it a moment ago. Do you see reality for what was actually happening? Do you see it with clarity and courage? What are the kind of things that maybe you're filtering out that you really need to be paying attention to? What kind of things do you not see that you need to see? What kind of things are you discounting? That's precision. Emotion, disruptive emotion, will not help you. You have to push emotion aside, use your disciplined mind to be precise about what's going on, not only outside of you, but also inside of you. So you've got to supply precision to defeat disruptive emotions. Number two, patience. Patience is about commitment to the long game. It's the willingness to do what is necessary for as long as necessary. It's perseverance. It's persistence. Have you noticed how impatient and impulsive disruptive emotions are? So you have to supply that patience. You have to supply that perseverance. Emotions will tell you to quit. Emotions would tell you to give up. Emotions would tell you to be impatient. You got to supply that. You got to supply the patience, the perseverance, and the persistence that's necessary to play the long game to achieve anything of greatness in your life. Then number three is perspective. And that's seeing the larger landscape. That's seeing the big picture. I call it zoom in, zoom out. See the situation from the top of the mountain, and then see the situation from ground level. And then go back to the mountain and go back to the ground level. Disruptive emotions will choose whatever perspective is most negative or disruptive. You've got to choose multiple perspectives that allows you to see the situation from multiple angles to know what to do. So zoom out to see the big picture, zoom in to see the detail. So once again, three things that disruptive emotions do not want. They don't want precision, they don't want patience, they don't want perspective. You must supply those three things. Focus on what needs to be done, not on how you feel. How you feel is not always a good reference point for what you should do. Number four, focus on giving, not taking. This is interesting. There's two kinds of people in the world, people who give and people who take. Have you figured this out? No one likes a taker. So be a giver. And what that means is learn to manage your emotional state, learn to manage your mindset, focus on what needs do other people have. How can you help other people? Well, we often get locked into what we want. As a result of that, we fail to see what others need. And so this is a focus that is get off of yourself, get situation awareness, look around you, and start recognizing where you can have a positive impact and help and support and bring value to other people. And I have noticed this about negative mindsets. It's really interesting. I've noticed this about negative mindsets. They almost always start with two things. Number one, a focus on self-centeredness. And number two, a focus on things that you can't control. I've been studying mindset for 30 plus years, and almost every negative or counterproductive mindset begins with one, self-centeredness, and two, a focus on things that you cannot control. You know, I'd add a third, and that is focusing on negative things you don't like. So you want to avoid that negative mindset. You really have to get away from the gravitational pull of self-centeredness. Don't get so locked into what you want that you fail to see and focus on what other people need. And then fifth and finally, focus on the process, not on the goal. It might sound odd to say don't focus on the goal. Let me clarify. Focus on the process, not on the goal. Set a goal, clarify the goal, then clarify the process required to achieve the goal, and then give all of your attention to the process. Give all of your attention to doing the things that you need to do moment to moment, day to day, week after week, month after month, in the process to achieve the goal. And I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to take it a step even more deeply. In every process, there are specific actions you need to take right now. I call it win the moment. Win the moment. Wow, the research on this is so clear and so powerful. Elite performers are focused on the moment. They don't allow their mind to be distracted and to drift off to things that take them away from the moment. Because again, every process has specific actions you need to take today, actions you need to take right now. Win the moment. Now, to win the moment, you have to be in the moment. And therein lies our challenge. There's 3 emotions that take us out of the moment. 3 of them. One is associated with the past, one is associated with the present, and one is associated with the future. So the emotion that takes us away from the moment that's past-oriented is resentment or bitterness. You know, if you are bitter or resentful about things that happened in the past, you're not going to be focused on the moment. You're not going to be in the moment. You're going to be thinking about, talking about, bitter about, resentful about things from yesterday. You know, I figured this out a long time ago. Step number 1 to a happier life is to give up your hope for a better past. You know, if there's somebody listening to this and you're dragging around some baggage from the past, some bitterness, some resentment, let it go. Let it go and get into the moment. Another disruptive emotion that derails us is present-oriented, and that's frustration or anger. You know, we're trying something or something's going on in our life, and something that's happening right now, we get angry about it. We get frustrated about it. And rather than focusing on what we need to do, we focus on how we feel. This goes back to what I said a couple of steps ago. So anger or frustration will take us out of the moment because we're not focused on the process. We're not focused on what we need to do in the moment. We're rather focused on how angry we are. So you've got to get rid of resentment from the past. You got to get rid of anger or frustration in the moment. Then the third disruptive emotional state, the third disruptive mindset is future-oriented, and that's fear or anxiety. You know, we're going to fall out of the moment. We're going to be distracted from the moment if we are afraid or anxious about what may be happening in the future. And you know what, folks? Fear is simply mismanagement of your imagination. It's focusing on what's negative and then fixating on it until you're anxious and stressed and fearful about it. So the key to that is focus on the moment, and more particular, focus on what you need to do in the moment. And here's how it works. I need to do something right now in order to to execute today's part of the process. So I do a rep, I take action, I reflect on how I did. I get feedback from either my own reflection or my coaches or the people around me. I make adjustments, I go again. And then I focus on the next moment. I focus on what I need to do. I do a rep. I take the action. I get feedback about what worked, what didn't work. I make the adjustments, and I go again. And I keep repeating that. That's how it works. Reps, reflection, adjustment, repeat. Say it again. Do a rep, reflect, make adjustments, repeat. Over and over and over again, as long as it takes. Focus on the process, and that's how you achieve your goal. So mindset matters. Attitude, mood, mindset, mental toughness, call it what you will. Everything begins in the mind. Get your mindset right, and you can achieve almost anything. Now go do the work. Really appreciate you guys listening to this podcast. We put a lot of effort into it, put a lot of heart into it. We know that there's a very strong audience out there that listens carefully to what we say, and we value that and we appreciate that, and it's a tremendous privilege and honor. You can get more information at our website, which is focus3.com. A lot of really cool stuff on there. Strongly encourage you to sign up for the daily discipline that Brian Kight sends out every morning. You can find that again right on our website, focus3.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Timothy Kight, and that's Kight, at Timothy Kight. And again, direct message me on Twitter if you want to send me a message, and I would love to hear from you, and we'll get back to you right away. Again, thanks for listening.